meeting to order. Oconee County Council meeting, special meeting, public hearings for the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget ordinances, Thursday, June 11th, 2020 at 6 p.m. We'll open this up with public hearing. We have some people signed up for a public hearing 2020-01, ordinance to establish the budget for Oconee County. And I'll open up for a public hearing at this time. Paula Henderson.
Good evening. My name is Minister Paula B. Henderson, 330 Merritt Road, Westminster. I'm here for just a little bit different reason tonight. I came to go on record and to tell you, Oconee County Council, and the citizens in attendance here this evening, and to you, Mr. Jerry Edwards, I can't breathe. No, I'm not a black man, but I'm a wife of a black man. I'm the mother of a black man, the grandmother of 2 black grandsons, and a great-grandmother to a grandson. And as you can see for yourself, I am a black woman, and I can't breathe. If things in America are not already bad enough, the COVID-19 pandemic, tornado devastation, black men and women being mistreated and murdered daily by the police who are supposed to protect us. We're discriminated against, we're maligned, and we're thought of and treated as second-class citizens, just to name a few of the things that we're confronted with continuously. If things in America are not bad enough, people are dying, jobs are scarce, many people, black, brown, yellow, and white, are struggling just to make ends meet, and bills are going unpaid. If things in America are not bad enough, where hatred is rampant just because of being black, racism is widespread just because of being black or brown, there's name calling, our youth are being taught animosity and antagonism towards black, and in a time when Christ may soon to come, if things in America are not bad enough, and now here in Oconee County, where the hometown newspaper, supported by most of the black communities, Mr. Jerry Edwards, we are smacked in the face by a racist cartoon deriding blacks for supporting a party of their choice. And just for the information here, not all blacks are Democrats. Senator Tim Scott, for example, if things in America are not bad enough, we have to deal with a picture depicting and stereotyping our black community as a woman, poor, 2 kids, perhaps pregnant, struggling in a room that's a mess, who can't seem to leave her man. This is published. Who are you? Who are we? Blacks built America. Go look at your history. Yes. Blacks built America. Blacks fought and fight in wars. Who are we as Americans? And more than this, if you're a professing Christian, the Bible is clear. How can you say you love God, whom you have not seen, and hate your brother, who you see daily? I can't breathe. And by the way, it is the right, the constitutional right of each American to support whichever party they choose to. I can't breathe here in America. Thank you.
And if anybody walks in and wants to sign up, well, I'll actually open it up after that, so just make sure if anybody walked in later, we'll give opportunity as well. Wanda Shaheen.
That's a hard act to follow, and I didn't think I was signing.
Ms. Wanda, if you can come up to the podium and state.
I thought I was signing up for attendance.
Oh, bless you.
Yeah, I thought I was signing up for attendance. But I guess it's been thrust upon me.
You just state your name for the record, please.
Wanda Sheehan. And I don't even know what to say. I think that was it Paula? Miss Paula pretty much covered it. I just reiterate everything that she said. Like I said, I thought I was signing up. I'm still trying to process everything you said. It was such an awesome, on point, inspirational speech. I can't even follow it. And I wasn't prepared for it. Are you sure it next? Because I put your name down, I thought we were signing in.
Lee, did you want to speak?
Wow.
Again, I didn't realize we were signing up to speak, but I will since I have the opportunity. My name is Lee Sheehan. As an old white man, like many others, I still can recognize without a lot of looking what racism is. You don't have to be black to see what racism is. You don't have to stare at a cartoon for hours to see what racism is. Or racist remarks or racist cartoons. We as Americans, we as Christians, we as people that love each other should know better and treat each other better than what we do now. And if it's something offensive to some person, whatever it may be, we ought to keep it to ourselves. We ought to be silent. If you can't say anything good, you should say nothing at all. And there's no place in our county, in our city, in our country for racism. It needs to end.
Ms. Graham?
Thank you. Name is Tanisha Graham. Thank you, council members, for allowing me to speak with you this evening. I'm here to go on record that I stand before you this evening with an appeal to your conscience, your humanity, your ethics, your morals, and your right standing as elected community servants. I ask you to consider the message that it sends to our law-abiding citizens of this county, tax-paying citizens of this county. If the budget is passed tonight, funding Seneca Journal, continuously funding their advertisements, and allowing those things to remain in place in that relationship with the county and the establishment to stay intact. I voice an opinion that the message would foster, if you did so, an approval of racist propaganda, bigotry, decisive stereotypes, labels, and false narratives against a vulnerable community without the opportunity of that community to write a counter-narrative that was written for them. This reckless lack of ethical journalism and explanation as it relates to vetting a piece of print is simply unacceptable as an established mouthpiece for this community. The print, as well as the other pieces that I have most recently become aware of, perpetuate a division in this community that is desperately trying to come together and navigate through uncomfortable conversations and establish positive change and unity. So pulling the journal's funding allows for them to do what? Regroup, okay? They get to vet their approval process of print. They get to gain cultural competency training for staff members so that when they do approve a piece for print, it's evaluated through the lens of a journalist who is culturally competent and not offensive to their audiences, okay? We cannot fund apologies. We have to fund change. Thank you.
Ms. Dalton?
I'm a citizen of Oconee County, South Carolina. I am a homeowner in Oconee County, South Carolina. I am a taxpayer in Oconee County, South Carolina. As a taxpaying citizen, I would like for the Oconee County Council members to discontinue their relationship with the Daily Journal, Seneca Journal, Upstate Today, and any subsidiary of this media outlet effective immediately. I do not approve of my tax dollars being spent with a business that does not honor who I am, nor the community in which I represent. As a native of the Black community, by birthright, I am disheartened by the recent cartoon depictions of my community as displayed in the Daily Journal on Wednesday, June 10th. The cartoons blatantly promote a farce depiction of the Black community and, given our nation's current fragile political and racial climates, the Daily Journal's gross negligence has further complicated the matters at hand. On Monday, June 8th, I was a part of a community forum where a sizable group of individuals, young, old, Black, and white, decided that it was time for a conversation. You see, most members of the Black community are not okay right now. We are grieving, having to watch yet another one of our members die via social media, as well as we all stood by and watched his life was senselessly taken by another human who vowed to protect, serve, and help us. It's too much for our souls at this time, especially after having seen the recent videotape of Ahmaud Arbery being killed as well. So, this forum, this gathering, this conversation between neighbors that happened on Monday night was a beautiful example of what all communities should strive for. We were simply following the commandment, love your neighbor as yourself. People, not Black or brown, who were in the room simply wanted to understand and listen to how we feel and were expressing their desire to help champion our views and just maybe begin the process of helping us heal. The event was covered and reported by the Journal on June 9th, as it should have been. However, on June 10th, the very community that is still grieving and processing wakes up to a tremendously unnecessary slap in the face that we did not need. More salt added to our wound and more false narratives about who we truly are. As one of few media outlets in the area, the Journal should be supportive of all communities represented in Oconee County. In my opinion, the Journal has 4 basic functions. 1, to inform. Give us facts and help us make informed decisions. 2, to interpret the news with neutrality or as close as possible. 3, to provide a service to readers. Give us information that helps us solve our business, home, recreation, and daily living problems, and even provide advertisements for events and services available to us. 4, to entertain, amuse, or give enjoyment to us as readers. A couple of things that are not mentioned in this list and should never be a part of newspapers' function is being divisive, 1, and number 2, causing pain to an entire community or a certain group of people. And for this, it is my opinion that the Journal needs to be held accountable for perpetuating racist propaganda and stereotypes that are harmful to the health of our community and hurtful to our souls. We accept the apology, but we still know that they don't get it. The acceptance that personal, structural, and institutional racism existed and it still exists today is paramount in order to do something about what we are experiencing. The conversation must continue. Thank you.
Thank you.
your name for the record, please?
Nasiba Dalton.
Thank you so much.
Ms. Gilbert.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Gilbert, and I am a resident of Oconee County, and I echo the sentiments of my cousin Paula and my good friends Tanisha and Nasiba. I am also here in support of defunding the Journal. Days ago, I had the honor of organizing and facilitating an event aimed at improving race relations in Oconee County. The event was standing room only with over 100 people in attendance, which is extraordinary for Oconee County, especially when talking about race relations. Since Monday, I've had an overwhelming response of positive feedbacks and requests to do more, and we will do more. Starting with my presence today. As a mother, as a leader, as a taxpayer in this community, I am outraged with the recent publication in the Journal. The stereotypes were varied, and the depiction was a slap in the face to African Americans, to victims of domestic violence, to Democrats, and to Oconee County as a whole. It should have never happened. And to find out that it was only the latest of many incidents of inappropriate publications is pouring salt into an already gaping wound. No one is above accountability, regardless of how deep your pockets may be or how close your affiliations may be. We must all be held accountable. And as elected officials of this county, it is your duty to do just that. You are here to represent Oconee County, not just one, but all residents. Because after all lives matter. Close your eyes, imagine it was one of your own, and do what you need to do.
Ms. Wright?
I also signed up on the wrong sheet, so I wasn't prepared, so I'm not gonna.
Okay. Anyone else like to speak? Okay. I'll move to close public hearing, ordinance 2020-01. Be opening ordinance, public hearing for ordinance 2020-02. Ordinance to establish the budget of the school district of Oconee County to provide for the levy of taxes for operations of the school district. I do have a submitted statement that I will read onto record. This is from Lynn Martin. It was received on email to Oconee County Council and Administrator Brock. I am for education, but it is past time for our Oconee County School Board and administrators to be accountable for the exorbitant expenses that continue to mount up from year to year, expecting citizens of this county to bail them out. The same excuse of the fear of cutting into their reserve funds is used every year. As educators, they need to be examples of showing us how a budget really works and to stay within a budget. In pretense of saving money, they have not saved any money yet. The budget continues to grow. No entity in our county increases a budget to the extent of the Oconee County school system, where all departments have budget cuts. They have budget increases year after year. Where they need to cut spending is from salaries of administrators and the number of people in administration. They seem to never think of those areas to reduce expenditures. Thank you, Lynn Martin. Received or sent Tuesday, May 19th. Read into public hearing. Do I have any other, anybody else that wishes to talk on ordinance 2020-02 on the school district budget? I'll move to close the public hearing on ordinance 2020-02 and open ordinance 2020-03, ordinance to provide for the levy of taxes for the Kiwi Fire Special Tax District, to establish a budget for Kiwi Fire Special Tax District fiscal year. No one has signed up for the public hearing on that. Anybody wishes to come forward? Come forward. Move to close ordinance public hearing 2020-03. Second reading of ordinance 2020-01.
You tell us public comment about the letter that was read?
Yes, ma'am, we have.
Could I have this 30
Would council allow that? Just state your name for the record, please.
I apologize for my voice. Mary Ann Grabarczyk. I cannot believe what I just heard. The school board is being held responsible. It is our legislators, your friends, your friend Mr. McCall, your friend Mr. Hart, Mr. Davis, Mr. Kane, Mr. Elliott, your friend Bill Sandifer, Robert Whitmire, Thomas Alexander. Those people need to find the money. We had before the virus a $2 billion tax surplus that they wanted to dole out to the citizens. Come over to my neighborhood and look at my streets. Please. I called the county about a problem, a drainage problem for the road last summer. They told me we'll be there in 15 years. In 15 years, I'll be dead. Or my house will be washed away one. But our schools, this is our children. This is my future. It's yours, 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 yours. Everybody in this room. I just cannot believe that somebody is that ignorant. And I would love to meet this person. Evidently, they do not get out of the house and drive on our roads. They don't have any grandchildren that go to school. I have family members. One's a teacher in Greenville County, one is a teacher in York County. It is embarrassing, the pay difference between Oconee and them. They support their education. And whoever, y'all got to get it together. Get it together. Because we, as a county, if we want to grow and be productive and attract jobs and attract industry and attract good citizens to move here and retire, we need to educate our population and never stop educating. I mean, I think a great place for money to be spent by the council, instead of giving it to Jerry Edwards, is Blue Ridge Community Center. I walked in that school for the first time in January. It's a school. People could be there doing stuff. Children could be there after school. Help, art lessons, recreation. To teach our kids things they can't learn in school. Good manners, good social skills. I'm sorry, I'm very upset. But if any of you would ever like to contact me about the Blue Ridge Community Center, I can hook you up. And I thank you for listening to me. And goodbye, Mr. McCall.
Thank you.
I don't live in your district, but I read the paper.
Thank you.
We have second reading on ordinance 2020-01. This is an ordinance to establish the budget for Oconee County and provide levy of taxes for ordinary county purposes. For Tri-County Tax Special Revenue Fund, Emergency Services Protection Special Revenue Fund, road maintenance special revenue fund for the bridge and culverts capital fund, for the economic development capital project fund, for the debt service fund, for the victim service special revenue fund, and for the capital vehicle equipment fund, for all in Nakota County, beginning July 1st, 2020, ending June 30th, 2021. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion second.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would like to, this body to entertain a motion with regard to the racist cartoon that appeared in the newspaper yesterday. My motion is to remove all funding from the Seneca Journal for services not statutorily required, and utilize that funding for the following sources. 1, to pay a civilian staff position in the Sheriff's Department to provide cultural diversity training and serve as a community liaison for law enforcement in an amount not to exceed $55,000 per year. Number 2, to pay for a trust building program between the community and law enforcement to be researched by staff. And finally, 3rd, pay for an electronic grievance reporting system to be researched by staff. That's my motion.
I'll second. I'll second.
Mr. Chairman, if we could, we need, essentially, Mr. Kane's motion is a motion to amend and essentially add an addendum to 2020-01. So get out a second onto that, and then discussion. Mr. McCullough I believe has an addendum.
I'll second.
Thank you, sir.
All right, as you see, I passed out the paper. These are checks from the county. So far this year, we have paid the Seneca Journal $113,340.98. Now, in view of the volatile times and what they put in the paper, this is horrible. It will not be tolerated. We need to cut all fundings, essential, non-essential. With the way the state is right now, with emergency times, we don't have to advertise with them one bit. We could use the Greenville News, and because of the way their staff works, slanting the news, twisting the news to whatever they want to. I would also say them and their staff is no longer welcome on county property. This property belongs to the people of Oconee County, not a biased, slanted organization such as this that calls themselves a newspaper. And if you don't do what I want, I'll ruin you in my paper. Well, come on and ruin me. These people have been slandered, stepped on. And then what is this put in the paper the next day? Sorry. You think that's appropriate?
No.
This is going to stop, and it's going to stop right now. Now, if anybody wants to disagree with me, that's your right. But if you disagree with me, are you supporting racism? Are you? Go ahead. If you do, then you need to resign. You don't need to be up here. And also, by the way, certain votes on zoning and other issues in the past and the way it's slanted, I think the U.S. Justice Department needs to look at the Seneca Journal and certain members of this whole council, the way you treated our citizens. This is an abomination of justice. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, this is hard to follow all these people that have spoke tonight. I'm just going to be a small peon here, but Mr. Jerry Edwards, owner of Edwards Publishing and the Journal, he approves every word that comes into that paper daily. The buck should stop at Jerry Edwards. They spew hatred, belittle people, demoralize their characters, and then they try to split the races. Why should the taxpayers of Oconee County subsidize this newspaper? This is a new low for Jerry Edwards. Thank you. Well, I got one more. I'd like to see some of that money go to the sheriff's department. They're needing it.
So we have a motion and a second.
Mr. Chairman, just so I could restate it, I believe, in essence, Mr. McCall's motion echoed what Mr. Kane was saying. The part of the motion about forbidding any members of the staff or the Journal to assemble at the public property, that would be unconstitutional. We gotta let everybody who has a right to come here, come here. And so we don't want to discriminate in that. But as far as the motion to, it's really because our budget does not say anything is going directly to the Journal, it just says advertising. It's a motion to direct staff, as Mr. Kane said it, not to place advertising or other payments toward the Journal unless it's contractually required, which I don't believe we have any contracts with the Journal, or if it's required by a public notice provision or something of that ilk. I'll have to look into that to see if there are any other newspapers that would suffice for a newspaper of general circulation in the county. That's a test that we got to make sure that we meet, and it's usually the newspaper that is most likely to reach the people within the community. Historically, that has been the Journal, but there's some other options I'll research into. But that's the essence of the motion, is that the advertising funds not go to the Journal unless it's legally required that they do so. Public notice would be
We need to look at legally required. Sliding money under the table. I don't like this one bit. No means no. These people are upset. We're sitting on a powder keg. And we're gonna say, well, we're gonna fund all, but we'll slide a little bit of money under the table on the side. Greenville News is out there. We could use them. I'm not gonna stand by and see these people run over. It's wrong. I appreciate everybody being here. I want to ask all these people here one thing. Why is there 5 white people up here and not 1 black person?
Yes, and a woman too. Why is there not a woman up there?
Well, we had a woman up there, but the Seneca Journal chose to stab her in the back.
Right.
So be it.
Well, maybe I'll run.
Okay, hang on. We gotta keep a little bit of order, please. I do want to state, I'm grateful for the conversations I've had today with many of our citizens. And the things that are working around here need to continue to work. The roundtable discussions need to get a lot more rounder. And, you know, racism exists, and I'm sitting here to acknowledge that. And I will continue to fight. I've reached out to one of my son's friend's moms that's here tonight, and grateful for what she's standing for. And it's time for us as leaders to acknowledge it and talk about it and to be there with you and not let a single incident or incidents bring this up. And that's one of the things. We got to keep this warm. We got to keep it hot, and we got to unite together and work on this. This is not something that's going to be solved. This is a culture, as it was said to me, and I don't disagree with that. And it's a shame. And there's a lot of wonderful people in this community that stand here together. There's a lot of wonderful leaders that stand here together. And there's a lot of people in this community that have became leaders in the last few weeks that I just met. And that speaks volumes to these meetings that were taking place. Mr. Kane was at in the last one. And we're going to let's keep it hot, let's keep it moving, and let's unite together, because racism is real. And I stand up here to acknowledge that, and I will do everything I can to defeat it. So, I want to make that statement. other?
So we're gonna totally defund it? To advertise it, anything?
We're not legally, there is things by law that we have to do. We don't,
So what you're saying is, you're gonna partially condone racism?
no, sir. You can, that is absolutely
Well, that's what you're doing.
unbelievable that you would even say that, Mr.
Why not? Because you get up there and say all this stuff, and then say, oh, well, we'll give them a little bit of money, it's legal. Greenville
No,
News is
that's
out
not-
there.
Mr. McCall, if I could, Mr. Chairman, if I could, that the motion isn't at all that. If Mr. Kane's motion passes, then no advertising, no funding would go to the Journal unless there is a legal requirement and no other means to do a public notice.
If
which we
there's
have
no
to-
other means, but I don't want anything slidden under the table.
You've known me long enough that I'm not of that ilk.
Not you, I'm talking about us.
So, but that's the motion, and that would be the direction of staff if it passes. The budget just says advertising, so maybe if the motion passes, that would be the direction that staff takes. And we have a follow-up motion, of course, which has the big change in the funding, the reduction in the funding, but.
There's two ladies out there with their hands up.
I just have a quick question.
May you step up, please, and state your name for the record?
Hi, my
Thank you,
name is
ma'am.
Lynette Wright.
Mr.
And-
Wright?
Yes, Lynette Wright.
Thank you.
And I
This
just
is for
wanted
the
to
record.
ask, okay, thank you. I just wanted to ask you, speaking of things that we have to do legally by law, but nobody's saying, I'd like an example of that.
So.
A couple
like-
examples, if possible.
Like tonight, we have a required public notice for the budget, and so we have to do that. We have to post, the budget notice is a little bit different, it's very elaborate. We have to do it 15 days before the hearing on the budget, which we're having second reading on. So we have to publish that in a newspaper of general circulation in the county for the actual ordinance to be valid. Every third reading we do on an ordinance, so every ordinance has that same requirement. Public notices that we do for, like I say, planning commission hearings or board of zoning appeals hearings.
Okay.
There's a number of things that are required like that, so we have to get the public notice out for the actual hearing to be lawful or the ordinance to be lawful. And there's a law out there, and it's been a while since I've looked at it, but as my recollection was, and I'll dive back into it, was that it has to be in a paper that has a general content, I mean, it's not a specific tabloid or something like this, has general content that appeals to the general population, and usually it's the paper that is most likely to get the notice to folks. Obviously, the purpose being so everyone knows what's going on with council. So the question is, do we have another alternative up here?
That's it.
So that's what I'll look at.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Wright.
Mary Ann Grabarczyk. How about electronically? That would not cover the requirement?
No, ma'am, we had an attorney general opinion, I want to say it was 3 years ago. They said it had to be a print newspaper. Now,
A print newspaper?
yeah, that's when I looked at it last, it was a couple of years ago, and they addressed that same issue. And one of the attorney general opinions that I think it's an internet access.
Yeah.
I know the days have changed,
Yeah.
it's probably gonna change where we have that as an option. But when that attorney
Yeah.
general opinion said no. It
Or,
said it had to be
our
a print newspaper.
billboards. Electronic billboard.
Yeah, it's a newspaper of general
The
circulation.
law says newspaper.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a pipe dream. I thought about this when Edwards bought, the Kiwi Courier. If we could get somebody recruited in here to start a newspaper, you know, if the county could start doing that, y'all probably have, I don't know, I worked in manufacturing, I worked for a plant manager. Every day, I got calls from headhunters, for my boss, people that work for him, for myself. You know, there's probably I mean, to me, it sounds like it might be a good investment. You know, I think, King Edwards is gonna lose some money over this, a lot of money. And I hope he loses Oconee County's too. But thanks for your
Absolutely.
information.
Absolutely.
Do we have a motion to second? I will call for vote.
Mr. Barnett, what is this?
Could I say a few words?
Yes, sir, Mr. Barnett.
This newspaper business. I think everybody in this room knows that Mr. Edwards bought up our two local papers. Put them out of business. Now, what were his motives in doing that? I think that's enough said. Would it be to rob the people of their voice? So that he would be the sole source of information in this county? Think about it. Thank you.
Mr. Barnett, could you please state your name for the record?
Oh, by the way, I'm Jerry Barnett. Every day.
Thank you, Jerry.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. I just want to state one more thing. Sometimes us as council members receive comments that hurt us as well. And it may come from citizens or it may come from council members. And I'd be lying if what got said didn't just really bother me, because I do a lot in this community to assist everyone, regardless of who you are, what you are. We're in this county together, and I devote my life to service to make it better for everybody, to make it better for my kids, no matter what color. And I have had some unbelievable conversations today with friends from the black community. And when I hear a comment come at me like that, calling me something that I stand avidly against, it's not fair. So I don't experience, I'm listening. And that's, as a leader, I think that's what we need to do more of, is listen. And I forgive you for that comment, Mr. McCall, because it is not true at all. And those that know me know it's not true. So can I get a motion to adjourn?
Oh, Mr. We have, so,
So,
I'm sorry.
so wait a minute, he don't do it. So the last tirade I had when I went to cussing is because you, Mr. Davis, were putting little snippets about me in the paper, calling me, I have my feelings, I don't leave my feelings at home, and this, that, and the other. And I get calls, you go down and toss a few beers down at the Mexican restaurant with you and Hal Welch and a few others, and the waiters, stole Espanol. They call me up. Hey, amigo. I hear what you're saying about me. Okay, that's fine. But don't say, my heart is clean.
That's not what I said.
So you denying what was printed in the paper? You're denying what was printed in the paper? Yes or no?
I don't write the paper. I did not.
It was the direct quote, but you denied making a direct quote to the paper.
May I please ask y'all to stop?
Huh?
May you please stop?
No, I'm done mad now.
I know, and I'm really, really sorry to interrupt. This is like trying to work for divorcing parents.
This,
We're our leaders. Please, can we act like it?
no,
There's enough division. There's enough hate.
I see these people, they the ones that hurt.
We all hurt. We're all.
And he comes up with this thing, well, only if it's legal. Then we gotta split the hairs of what's legal to advertise.
There are legal requirements for advertising. We spoke about this on the phone. There's just enough hate. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
So we have a,
If I could bring us around, we have 2020-01 has been amended with the motion directing staff regarding the advertising. So we have that amended budget ordinance for the county, and I believe I know we had the direction from the last meeting to bring back a proposed amended budget that reflected current year's, essentially the current fiscal year numbers. And y'all been provided that. If those current fiscal year numbers were acceptable to you, then we would need an additional motion to amend 2020-01. So, and I can state a motion that would work for that, or someone else can say that.
Stated.
Right. The motion that I would need would be a motion to amend 2020-01 to reflect the changes contained in the proposed revised budget ordinance that's been presented to you all, that contains the header with proposed amendments consistent with council's motion to postpone of June, that was, what was the date of that? We had that last meeting. Second, of June 2nd, 2020, including the accompanying exhibits, so that the budget generally reflects the expenditures of the current fiscal year.
I'll make a motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Now we've got the budget as amended twice, and so you need, and that's open, so we don't need a first or second. We just, any other discussion on
Any other discussion?
2020-01 and then a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?